now I can. Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
You're doing well. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. Are you in LA?
I am. I'm in LA. I live with my parents and I've just been in my I live in a back house and it's half of a studio and I've just been in here since the 13th, I think.
Since the lockdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just south of you in San Diego.
South of where?
We're just south of you in San Diego.
Oh,
That's where
cool.
we're at right now. So yeah, we're under the same quarantine
Yeah.
circumstances.
Do I hear kids in the background?
You do. They're downstairs though. Hopefully they'll be quiet.
How are they doing?
They're all right. I mean, one of them was our older son Robert turned 12 on Friday, so he had to spend his 12th birthday inside the house, which is kind of a bummer.
That is a bummer.
And the other one is 4 next month. So hopefully by his birthday, this will all be blown over. But we should see.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess.
Fingers crossed.
Sure. Well, again, thanks for doing this. So you grew up in LA, right? In Manhattan Beach?
Yeah, the South Bay, we call it. I was
South
born in
Bay.
Torrance. Yeah. It's kind of like 15 minutes south of LAX,
Okay.
if that gives you any reference.
And that's where you grew up there?
Mm-hmm. And that is where I still currently reside.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how did you get into music?
My whole life, I always loved music, just listening. And I would put on performances when I was like 5. I used to have one of those plastic echoey mics. They weren't real,
sure, yeah.
but
Yeah,
you could sing into them and it would kind of make you
kind of
sound a
amplify
little.
your voice, yeah.
Yeah, and I had one of those and I would put on little shows and sing Britney Spears to my family. And then when I was like maybe I think the 5th grade, I started to write songs.
Wow, that's early.
Because it was early. But I got to this, I just didn't ever like to talk about how I felt. And I thought, this is a perfect way to express myself and I don't even need to say anything like to actual people. I can just write it down and I feel better. So I started young and then I started doing like studio sessions when I was about 15.
Oh, wow. How did you get involved in that? Were you playing out and stuff? Like, how did somebody decide that during the studio?
So at the time, my sister worked at BMI, and she had just met a songwriter and was like, "Hey, my little sister is into music. Can you just meet her and see if you, I don't know, see any potential in her?" And that was when I was like 12 or 13.
Wow.
And we wrote a few songs together, and obviously she was like, "Well, you're really young. You just got to keep writing every day and living life and having things to write about." And so from then on, we stayed in touch, and she started to bring me in to sessions with her. It's kind of like, it was like, she's 14, she's learning, and I could sing, so I would cut vocals and do the demos.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was an early introduction, and it was kind of like boot camp in a way.
Yeah, you were kind of put right into it, huh?
Yeah, so then over the years, I cultivated my own little network of people and relationships, and for a while it was just writing for pitch while I honed in on my artistic vision. And
when you say writing for pitch, you would just write songs for other people, or what does that mean?
Yeah, for other people. So
what age were you doing that at? When you were 15, 16?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I would get out of school at 12:30, and then when I got my car, I would drive up to LA and do sessions at like 4.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't tell any of my friends because I felt like weird about it, kind of. And it was also my own little secret.
Sure. Yeah, so you'd bring them songs and melodies that you had written, and and
yeah,
then
and
they would pitch them to
just
artists?
pitching is a very like heart wrenching experience because 10 times out of 10, no one takes your song. But it was a great learning experience because once I graduated high school, I just kept writing every day. I didn't go to college.
Okay.
And I just wanted to write as many songs as I could because that's the only way you can get better at it. So, yeah.
So you just kept writing. And when did you start playing out to people and performing your songs to people?
The first time I played a show was actually 2018. I opened on tour for this band called Now Now.
Okay.
And they
were touring?
They were touring, yeah.
And you just jumped on the one date or something?
I did the whole tour with them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was a really cool experience because I had never, going from like never playing any shows to being on a tour.
Yeah.
Wild. It was like 24 day.
Wow, that's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And that was your first experience playing in front of people?
Yeah, I did a talent show in high school once, but
but other than that, like really trying to perform and engage the crowd and all that. That was your first jump at it. Was on a tour.
That was it. Mm-hmm.
Wow. How'd you get hooked up with the tour?
I actually had known. So the band is Casey and Brad and he's a producer as well, and we did a session a while ago. And we stayed in touch. And then I remember their manager reached out and was like, would you guys be down to do this? And of course I'm like, yeah, I would love to.
So you had a band at that point?
When I toured, it was just me and a drummer.
Oh, wow.
Yes. 'Cause my music then, I had just put out That Really Long Night, which is my first EP. Mm-hmm. And it was really like electronic heavy. And I played guitar on a couple songs, but for the most part, it was just easier to have just me and one other person. But now I was in the process of putting together a new band to be playing shows. Unfortunately, that has been put on hold.
Oh, okay.
But my band, my upgrade was going to be having a guitar player.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited about it.
For the new live shows? Iteration, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Back to the pitching and putting stuff out with WENS. Like, how did you know if a song, or how do you know if a song is going to be something you're going to pitch, or if it's something that you want to put out as your own stuff?
I think that I like writing so many different ways, like in different styles. Mm-hmm. And the most obvious to me is if I'm listening back and I don't connect with it. Oh, and it almost feels like it's not even me that's singing it. It's such a weird thing, I guess. But usually, like, when I'm writing a song, this probably sounds strange, but I don't feel like I'm writing as myself. I feel like I'm writing from, like, an outsider's perspective. And then when I listen back and I'm like, whoa, I really relate to this. Uh-huh. That means that it's my song because I wrote about my experience without even thinking I was.
Sure.
Whereas if I listen back and I'm like, I don't feel anything. Like anyone else can have this and I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But it's interesting because you said that you'll write it and feel like you didn't connect to it. When you write those, are you just writing your songs whatever you feel like? And if you're like, okay, this seems like something I think somebody else would sound great singing, like how do you know what songs to bring in, and like how does that work?
I think because I look at it so much like at the end of the day, I'm just writing to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
It's less about me being like, I'm experiencing heartache currently. I'm going to go sit at the piano and write a song about heartache. That feels too hard to me because it's like I'm boxing myself in.
Uh-huh.
And so I like to just look at it like, I want to tell whatever story my brain is thinking of subconsciously.
Oh, okay. And then if it's good enough, you'll say, okay, I think I could try to give this to somebody or pitch it to somebody.
Yeah. Also, I think maybe the more upbeat stuff I write, I generally don't feel as much like it's mine. Like,
that's interesting.
Just because like any kind of dancey type stuff, it just doesn't feel that sincere. And I think you can write a dance song that is sincere, but I don't know. I haven't done it yet. So
Sure. So you just put out your latest EP, Lemon Collie.
Yeah, it came out 3 days ago.
Wow. How's that? Is that exciting?
It was exciting. I mean, definitely weird that I couldn't go out and celebrate.
Sure.
But I was supposed to have a show on the 19th and it came out the 20th. So then I did an Instagram live.
Oh, wow.
And I've never done one before.
How was that?
It was actually really, I mean, if that's the only way that we're going to be able to connect with fans for the next indefinite period of time,
foreseeable future.
Yeah, I can't complain. I actually really enjoyed it. I was surprised. But I played a couple songs on my piano, my little setup.
Uh-huh. And you just do that in your living room or inside your house?
Here, you can see that's my little studio.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that where you record? Do you just demo there, or when you put the record together, did you do that in like a proper studio?
2 of the songs were written in here. Well, a couple of them were written in here. Mm-hmm. One of them, I think I did the vocals in this room. And then,
okay.
But for the most part, I work with producers and I go to their studios.
Sure.
My setup's just very amateur. It's better for writing.
Right. Well, you can get the songs out, and get them down so you can kind of hear what it would possibly sound like, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the process on this one?
Yeah, so I wanted these songs to embody this phase of my life, years 18 to 21, which is when it was created. Mm-hmm. I'm now 21. And I felt like there was so much contradiction during this period of like your beliefs. Like one day you feel so strongly about something, but then the next it changes because you're starting to become an adult and your opinions are becoming more solidified, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to kind of capture the confusion and strange things that come with shifting so much. Sure. It's like, I feel like high school's hard, middle school's hard, and nobody ever really talks about like you're going into your 20s is a weird thing because you're expected to be an adult.
Right.
But also at the same time, you still feel like a little kid. So, yeah, that was kind of the idea behind it.
I love that. That's awesome. How'd you get connected with Warner Brothers?
I did a song a while ago called Cinderella, and that's on the EP. Mm-hmm. And I wrote it with a producer named Shlomo. And he is managed by these guys, Ben and Mason. And I remember after the session feeling like I went into it and it was supposed to be a pitch session, so not for me. Uh-huh. And after the session, I felt like I really want this. I don't want to give this song to someone else. Uh-huh. And so when it came, like when we were discussing it, his managers, they were kind of like, well, if you want to put it out, why don't we just start having a conversation? We're about to do a JV with Warner. And so then it just kind of fell into place like that, I guess.
Wow.
So I had actually met them too a while ago because they manage a couple other dance producers like Arl Grime and Bauer. And I worked with those guys a while ago. So I knew them, and it was kind of like a comforting fit.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You already had worked with them prior. Well, that's awesome. I love your Instagram bio where you say, text me about your crush, and then you leave a phone number there. Where does that go to? I'm sure that's not your actual cell phone.
It is a number that I have attached to my phone, but it's through an app. Okay. So like, it's as if I have another text app on my phone, but it's a different number. It's a really cool company. It's called Community. And
that's awesome. Funny. So people text you and call you and stuff on that line?
You can't call the number.
But you can text the line.
Text it. People do text it. Yeah. And
that's really funny.
You can save them. You can save their contacts, and like I get notified if it's people's birthdays, so I can text them on their birthday.
Oh, wow!
Them a little surprise. It's fun. It gets a little hard to manage.
Yeah, I could imagine that.
And it's not even like I'm that like I don't get that many texts, but I always want to respond in the most real way possible.
Yeah. So they know it's actually you and not just some computer generated response.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've never seen another artist do that. I think I think
J-Lo has one.
Does she really? I guess I don't follow J-Lo. Yeah. But I should.
In one of the examples they showed me that she has it, and in her text it's like, I probably won't be able to respond to all of you. Yeah, you're probably getting thousands a day.
Yeah, that's funny. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
I feel like my advice is just like the cheesiest typical shit ever. Like, practice all the fucking time. Don't like, I don't know, I feel silly saying that because it's obvious that you should practice, but it really does make a difference. And also try your hardest to not be affected by all of the noise, because in this day and age, there's so many people creating, and it's great, but it's also very overwhelming at times. And comparing yourself to others can really put you in a dark headspace. Like, why am I not there that far in my career? Why am I here? But at the end of the day, like, everyone's journey is their own. And it's hard to not compare yourself to other people to like reference, but I think that would probably be the most important thing, to stay sane.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, we're creatives, and I don't think any creative is fully sane, but to attempt.
Yeah.
Pairs and kills. So, yeah.
Well, what's next for you after, if the quarantine, say it lets up? Are you touring? Are you do you have stuff going on after this? That got rescheduled? The
goal was to try and tour this summer. I think it might be pushed to fall.
Okay. Well,
hopefully we're just kind of, I'll definitely be playing an LA show as soon as I possibly can get on stage and be within 5 feet of another human.
Right. Totally.
But I'm also just, in the meantime, trying to get better at making tracks myself, making beats, writing songs, finishing songs. I'm trying to stay as busy as I can without spiraling.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat. And
thank you so much for having me.